Hey, welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. The Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon, company run by Joe Ross, who was a former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer, guest of the Black Knight Nation podcast. You can check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a press conference, the press conferences of Jeff Monken, Bryson Daly, Leo Lowen's up there. I didn't load up Isaiah Austin's yet. I should have done it last night. I was a little bit tired, but we'll try to get that up there too. And we have our recaps of the past games, and now we're going to recap Army's first win of the season with our panel of Steve Anderson, Brendan in Jersey, and Seth Mendelson. Guys, we're going late tonight, but we got to get this done. We got to recap this 57-0 win over Delaware State by the Black Knights. Went pretty as expected, Steve, huh? In your mind or no?
Yeah, I think so. I still think there was a few missed opportunities for a flawless game, but I think we went in there. I think we had a chip on our shoulder. I did not think that there was any kind of lull. I mean, there was definitely that sense of urgency. I would like to see our guys get some more reps before putting in the other players. But I mean, overall, I mean, everybody executed, everybody played with passion, a lot of fun, a lot of energy. You guys were at the game, so you guys could at least, I know Seth, you were there too, right?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of energy you could feel through the TV. So exciting stuff. It's good to get that W under your belt. And then it's right back to work because, we're going to have to get after it here soon.
Yeah, Brendan, what did you think of the game and the way Army played and the overall thoughts?
It's very tempting to be like, oh, well, it was Delaware State, so it doesn't mean anything. But at the end of the day, it counts as a win for one thing. So you definitely can't say it doesn't mean anything. And they took care of business. They got the game to a point where they could play a lot of guys and kind of empty the bench, and that's really what you want in these sorts of situations. In contrast to Navy, who this week played an opponent of very similar quality, and I didn't have time to go into every last detail of the box score, but they certainly didn't win by as many points. So I don't know if they were as successful, in being able to get guys, the deeper parts of their bench into the game. So, and it was also good to see, as Steve was saying, guys were clearly fired up on the sidelines, and that's always nice to see. I mean, even if it's, as I said, against Delaware State, it's good to see the team engaged, celebrating for their, for guys who may not play another down this season, or who may have to come in a big spot later this season. You never know.
Good point. Seth, take it away.
I saw it two ways. First, I agree with you guys. This is just what the doctor ordered. We needed a game, a relatively easy game, an easy game to win. I thought they played a good game. We had one turnover only. The turnover came, in the third quarter. The game was already put away. No one wants any turnovers. Jeff Monken wasn't happy with it. But having said that, it was just one. Other than that, everybody played a good game. On the other hand, and I like to look at it from both angles, this team was not even an FCS team. This is a Division II squad. They lost to, I think it was Bowie State from Maryland last week. They missed plays. They had plays that fell apart a number of times. 3 or 4 times they didn't have the right number of offensive linemen on the field. They went to kick a field goal. They couldn't even find the kicker. He came on too late. This was not a team that we can you can really measure anything from. A win is a win. I think it was great for confidence. I think it was great for Daly. I think it was great for the team. A lot of guys saw a lot of action, but at the end of the day, I'm not taking much from this outside of the fact that Army is now 1-1, and it was a confidence builder.
Yeah, I would say the poor quarterback for Delaware State. He got knocked out a couple times. He was all beat up, the starting quarterback. I mean, Army's defense was getting after it. A couple things I just want to note before we continue the conversation. Bryson Daly's game, right? 3 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. My second half in the press box, I was dead set on finding out if he was the first player in Army history to do that, 3 passing and 2 rushing in a game. And unfortunately, when you get back to the 50s, you can't really look up box scores to see if Joe Caldwell threw rush for 2 touchdowns, or see if Pete Van, I think, is another one who rushed for 2 touchdowns or not. So as of right now, all I could say is he's the first Army quarterback since 1959 to do that. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, and he. What, 1 series in the second half, I believe, Seth, right? He only had 1 series in the second half, maybe 1 or 2.
Oh, 2 series.
Oh, because they turned it over and he wanted to keep him
right.
in.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, do that in 3.5 quarters is pretty impressive. I guess the opponent, whatever, say what you want. You know what I was happy to see? I was happy to see them throw the ball. I tweeted on the Black Knight Nation account. In the pregame, I was watching them throwing out to Isaiah Austin. I'm like, if they throw the ball more than 10 times, Isaiah Austin should have a big game. And I guess I was Nostradamus, because Isaiah Austin had a big game, right? I mean, he only caught 3 passes, but for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. Man, I hate to look back on Louisiana Monroe, but if they would have thrown 1 pass down the field, maybe things would have been different. They didn't throw a deep pass at all against Louisiana Monroe. I know, different opponent. I know, you can be more successful against a Delaware State potentially than a Louisiana Monroe, but man, I don't want to go back to Louisiana Monroe, but I just thought it was good to see them throw the ball, put the ball in the air. And Daly, I was watching Daly in the pregame. He was throwing the ball pretty good. He was throwing the ball when he gets time. He throws the ball with a lot of confidence. So I don't know what you guys think. So
I go back to Brandon's point, right? They came in here and they took care of business. All right, I could have, even if we would have won 21-0 or 28-7, there would have been, kind of what probably Navy's feeling, where they left a lot on the, a lot left out there, and then more questions than answers. I think. To Seth's point, right? Confidence builder. This is what execution looks like. This is what it feels like. This is what making plays feels like with this team and this offense and this defense and these leaders. I was just really excited to see that it didn't matter who we were playing. We were just excited to be dominating, and that can be contagious. That can be infectious. Guys are going to want to feel that again, and they're going to prepare to feel that again. So definitely, I think, Sal, I tried to look it up too. I couldn't find anything, because I saw that stat and I was like, oh, that's not really a stat you get at Army very often. I don't care if it's 3 1-yard passes and 2 1-yard runs. One guy put in the end zone that many times is impressive. It doesn't matter against who. So, and then I was just really good to see Isaiah Olsen get involved. He is, man. If we can find the rhythm of this offense, incorporating him, whether it's the RPO slant, sluggo, if it's just a straight go. If we can massage that to where we're hitting it at the right time, this offense is going to be good. And I know we talked about it last week, not overreacting, and I'm not going to try to overreact to this game, but really excited to see our guys do really well.
I think that if we would have played Delaware State first and Monroe second, we would have beaten Monroe. Army would have beaten Monroe. I think this, they needed a game like this under their belt. It's a shame the schedule worked out the way it did. But I do believe that this was a confidence booster. They needed to play somebody. I talked to Munkin at the preseason practice, the last press conference before the season, and he was saying, "Boy, we want to go out there and play a team that doesn't look like us. They're not the same colors." if they would have played Delaware State, I think they would have gotten more confidence. And to Sal's point, they probably would have tried throwing the ball. I think they went into the Monroe game very conservative game plan because they didn't know what to expect. And hey, we don't know what to expect on Friday night either. But at least now they did things that they wanted to do. And I think the coaches will take more chances. I think the players feel more confident. To Steve's point, to Brendan's point, everybody, we're all saying the same thing. So that's good. That's good.
Hey, Steve, there was some creativity in the offense, at least this game, right? I know the opponent, but at least they didn't run up the middle 50 times in the game. At least they did something creative on offense, which I thought was good.
Yeah, and I think it gives the team the more we were working on chemistry throughout the day, figuring out how those pitches are going to be on the outside.
I agree.
Yeah. I want to just note, Brendan, before we get more opinion from you, there was a little wrinkle with Tyson Riley playing H-back and a little tight end in this game. Josh Lingenfelter was injured. He did not play. He did not dress for this game. Talked to Coach Monken after the press conference. He thinks Josh will be back against UTSA on Friday night, and that will be big because Josh is one of the best blocking tight ends in the country. So, but Tyson Riley at like an H-back tight end and getting them out in some passing routes and catching a touchdown pass may be something different. I mean, I wasn't expecting that from Army, and that was something good. And also at the beginning of the game, man, I had to look at who number one. I knew who number one was on their roster offensively, but Zach Mundell was the first player to catch a pass for Army in this game. And Zach Mundell is a quarterback basically on the roster, right, Seth? Mm-hmm. But last year against UMass, he played wide receiver, and he got some reps as a backup wide receiver. He's been battling hamstring injuries freshman year and in preseason, but he seemed to have a little bit of burst there. He seemed to be a little bit different, something that maybe they don't have. And so that was good to see Zach Mundell get on the field. Monken says he's a quarterback, but he wants to get him on the field, and they're going to play slot receiver a little bit for them. Steve and Brendan, they started with 4 wide receivers in this game. So maybe that's something do you think we would ever see that in an Army offense, Brendan? I don't know.
Well, I know one question we had in the offseason was what's going to happen to the old fullbacks from the old offense and what's going to happen with them in the new offense. And I maintained, certainly in the case of Tyson Riley, that, if you're an offensive coordinator and you can't find a spot for him on the team, then, what are you doing? And certainly he was very successful, in an H-back role, caught a touchdown pass, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
He did.
So really looking forward to see that. I mean, I will do, this is something I've said a number of times, certainly in this space, but I will just never forget. I think it was against Villanova last year where he got out to the edge and was sprinting down the sideline in a way that just a guy that big moving that fast was unbelievable. So, you always knew he had the athleticism, and, to see them utilizing it in a creative way is really exciting. And then Jacoby Buchanan as well, kind of in there as he has been often throughout his career, a short yardage specialist. It seems like they've kind of found a niche role for him with the offense, despite the fact that they said, they're basically abandoning fullbacks, and, guys like Markel Johnson are kind of the new prototype. But I'm week one aside, I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing in terms of the implementation and evaluation of players.
Yeah, we'll get to Chuck Phillips's comment. Said great win for Army. They see how this offense can click. It'll pay dividends for the rest of the season. I want to say something on Tyson Riley real quick. I talked to him, I think, early in the preseason. His first snap as an Army football player was as a tight end his freshman year, believe it or not. He was the prep school quarterback. He was a prep school quarterback before he got there, and he was an all-state safety in high school. So that tells you about the guy can do a lot of different things. He might be one of the best athletes on Army's team, considering his size and all the things he can do. So, have him as a Swiss Army knife. I think that's how maybe Matt Drinkle mentioned him as a Swiss Army knife. Have him as a guy who can do a lot of things. I just look at like the defense. We talk a little bit about the defense. They pitched a shutout. Seth, they were able to get some stops when we thought that Delaware State might at least, Delaware State tried a really long field goal in this game, and then Delaware State got down in the red zone a couple times, but it was a bend don't break defense for Army, and Trey Sophia had made some big plays for them, just what do you think about the defensive effort there?
Well, I agree with you. I think the defense, again, it was bending but not breaking. They got down there 3 or 4 times. They had the 2 missed field goals. I think it was 3 times. They had the turnover. The defense did what they had to do. A couple of mistakes. I think the third quarter was rough. Was probably the roughest quarter for Army in the game, offensively and defensively. But they had a couple of penalties that gave first downs to Delaware State, and that's not something you should do. But almost it's the same thing with the Monroe game. They played really well with a couple of exceptions. This time it didn't matter. Last time it really mattered, and that's kind of where we stand. But good game defensively, very good game, and a lot of guys contributed. A lot of guys contributed.
Hey, Steve, that strip sack that Kyle Lewis had, he sacks, forces the fumble, recovers it. I mean, that's the old trifecta for a defensive player. So, that's your nose tackle coming in from the edge there. And I thought that was a turnover, obviously, for Army. And I thought that was a good play. They're pretty good up front in this game.
Yeah, really happy with their front, just overall their front 7, but their defensive line seemed to really control that line of scrimmage the majority of the game. I think for the most part, I think the good thing to watch with a team like that is sometimes your eyes can wander, sometimes your assignments, you can kind of lean towards what their percentages are, or what you can guess. And I didn't see a lot of guessing. I saw guys executing the defense, eyes and feet alignment, all that kind of stuff for the most part was really good, and guys were playing total defense, and it came out to where guys were making plays all over the field, and that's what you hope for. So I love our guys in the middle. Lowen is really good. I love watching him continue to grow as kind of that linebacker in the middle, and that linebacker that kind of sets the tone. So it's been fun watching him over the past couple of years.
Yeah, they got a nice it wasn't statistically a sack, but Jimmy Charlo did have a sack. He had a second straight sack in my book, playing pretty well. Spencer Jones got in for a few plays, started a tackle for a loss. They're rotating guys on the edge there with Jackson Powell played well, I thought. Jackson Powell had a couple good plays on defense. He's a senior who came in pretty highly recruited. He played well too. We have Mike Fulowski saying, the linebackers played well. The defensive growth and play will be the key the next few weeks. Like we say, the schedule is not a joke. And when you have to go to 6 short week, right, Steve? UTSA on a Friday night. You're leaving on Thursday probably for that game, I guess. Maybe even one. I'd probably leave it on Thursday. They probably are.
Leaving Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a tough game, followed by Syracuse and then Boston College. I believe that's the schedule, right, Seth? Am I wrong? Somewhere around there.
Syracuse a week off, and then BC.
Yeah.
The next home game is BC in 3 weeks.
I don't know if this is the Noah Short, but if it's the Noah Short, the Army football player, he's saying beat UTSA. So we appreciate Noah watching if it is. So
yeah. Well, back to the defense. Look, in 2023, to shut anybody out is a huge accomplishment. All right. I mean, every rule is in favor of the offense. I had to go through with the guys. Anytime you get in the neutral zone, the offensive lineman move, they know the count. Okay. That rule is so dumb. Give me a chance to get back. I just hate that rule so much. It's like he's just moving because he's trying to get the 5 yards. So, but that's why they're smart. That's why offensive linemen are smart. But yeah, I anytime you get a shutout, it's huge confidence boost. Don't care who you're playing. It's not easy to do for 60 full minutes. And it shows that, we played a complete game on defense. Didn't matter who played. And the guys wanted that. And no cheapies towards the end. And it's good, man. I mean, anytime you leave a game with a 0 or a season you have a 0, that's good stuff.
I want to mention it, and I think Mike Fulowski said the plebe quarterbacks, right? The freshmen that got to play, the young guys that got to play. Also on defense, I was able to get pretty close to the action in the fourth quarter. And I mean, you look at some of the guys that they're recruiting, Steve and Brendan and Seth. I mean, Olo Madozi, he had a sack off the edge. Guy's about 6'3", 6'4", about 230, and he's a freshman. He's going to grow. They're really high on that guy. Tano, I'm just going to call him Tano, the freshman inside linebacker, got to play a little bit. He hits really hard. He plays special teams too, as a special teams tackle, and the quarterbacks, right? Champ Harris gets 29 seconds of play at the end of the first half. I don't know. You were probably a little surprised, Seth, that they put Champ Harris in instead of Bryson Daly. Coach Munkin said, hey, we thought he was pretty equipped for what they want to do to move the ball down the field. And then Larry Robinson plays in the fourth quarter, scores a touchdown. Larry Robinson looks pretty smooth to me. Larry Robinson looks like he's a smooth runner. And Kane Udo scored a touchdown for them, a freshman that they're Kane Udo, you might not notice on the field, but he's like about 6'2" and 225 pounds. And he's very physical. He ran up the middle, pretty strong runner. So that's pretty bright features. Steve, week 2, and we're seeing, I know it was like an FCS team, but still to see guys that young in the program doing well, if it's fourth quarter or not, I think that's still a great sign for them.
Yeah, no, and to your point, Sal, anytime those guys can get in there and get that confidence and just build off of it, it's huge. It's huge, especially young. I'm with Seth on that. Like, I was kind of hoping Daly was gonna take him down to the field at the end of the half. That's his job, right? That's what we expect him to do. But hey, I was all about the freshman quarterbacks last week, so I'm not gonna go back there. Brandon's chuckling right now because he knows I was talking about it. So, but it's you can't win with fanatics. They're crazy.
Champ Harris has got a lot of talent. The coaches are really high on him, and it gets him some game reps, and we'll see what happens. I mean, from what Bryson Daly was able to do against Delaware State, that's a lot. That's right. He talked about the confidence builder it was for him in that game after a tough first start. So, I mean, future is maybe looking a little bit better at quarterback after week 1. Now week 2. Steve, they always say the biggest improvement in a football team is from week 1 to week 2, game 1 to game 2, right? Or is that just a coaching thing, mantra?
No, I'm sure that's just a cliche.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what we talked about earlier. What Munkin said is we had to play against somebody other than ourselves, other than the black and gold. We had to see what we really were doing, what was working, what was not, and where the chemistry was and what it felt like to be in a game. I mean, there's a lot of new guys out there this year. Most notably the quarterback is getting the full range. So that's why they say it's a cliche, but there's some truth to it. And most teams they say that about usually lose the first game. So there's more to improve. So, there's more room to improve. So, two things, right? You love to see the team respond this way after how we all felt. We know how we felt after ULM, so multiply that by about 50, And that's how that team and that locker room felt. And they have high expectations for this team. I know the guys that those players are listening to on a daily basis. I mean, these guys are leaders. They're not just coaches. They are leaders. And they're telling these guys, like, it is accountability, it is discipline, and it is desire. It is passion. It is what you every single day has to be about. Really excited, just come out there, take care of business. And now we're going to see. Now we're going to see against UTSA what this is all about. Because this team that we're going to play this week they're a good ball club.
Well, I wanted to talk about that. I guess, are we done with the recap? We talk about the future. Sal, can we go to UTSA?
Yeah, real quick. Let me just get this comment in from Pat Brew, and then we'll go to UTSA. He said, "Great win for Army. Is there any word on Tyrell Robinson and his possible return?"
Yeah.
So I went to I'm on the field for pregame, and around an hour and a half before the game, I see Tyrell Robinson out there throwing with a teammate, just a football around throwing with a teammate. But it didn't look like he was going to be ready to play at all in this game. My feeling is maybe that Boston College game, we might see him back. If you got Syracuse next week and you got a bye week, in between Syracuse and Boston College, I think maybe Syracuse, but more like Boston College. This is just me. Coach Monken said he thought he would be back toward the early part of the season. When I asked him about it at the second scrimmage, about a month has passed by since then. So, it looks like they're going to take it easy with him a little bit coming off the ACL. But, man, if he can come back and he can be close to what he was when he left, there's another weapon for the Army offense. And you want to throw – now, I forgot to ask Coach Monken this question. I want to. Do you think Tyrell Robinson is probably a slot receiver in this offense, right? Or do you think he's the single back?
Honestly, I could see him being that wild card where he's taking snaps at both. I mean, what's saying that he's got to stick to one? I do. But bottom line is we got to get him the ball in space. So whatever gets him the ball in space, where he can use his athletic ability is where we got to put him.
Well, we can't go to UTSA yet, Steve. You got to answer this question. What's the difference in Army's scheme defensively today than in your days?
We played a standard 4-3 back in the day when I started, where it was very much just like you see a 4-3 defense in the pros. That's what we played my freshman and sophomore year. And then we went to the double eagle flex, the famous double eagle flex out of Arizona. Where that is Coach Sadat used to always call it organized chaos. It was pretty wild, especially because it could be essentially a 6-1, depending on how you looked at it, and just freeing up me in the middle as the Mike linebacker and Josh off the end to make plays. So it's the scheme is very different from what Army has this year. I think Army plays really relies on that defensive line and their athletes to make plays, which is what most defenses do. But it's a more balanced formation than what we did my junior and senior year.
Hey, real quick, did you guys ever nickname that defense or no? Other than the double eagle flex, did the players have a nickname for the defense even your senior year?
No, I mean we D. That's what we did, or we just say swarm. So I still got my swarm sign, man. I got my swarm sign around here somewhere. I gotta find it.
That's great, man. You gotta find that for next one, man. You gotta find that for next one. Let's go to UTSA, and Steve mentioned it, Seth mentioned it. Seth, take it away. I mean, UTSA. Frank Harris is back for Brendan's 7th year or 6th year.
I mean, he's been playing from since 1947, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that's good.
I think it's like his 7th year. I don't know. He's been around for a while.
I mean, if he doesn't, he probably has more gray hairs than I do at this point.
Well,
yeah, I mean, go ahead, Seth.
statistically, I mean, they beat a Texas State team that beat Baylor the week before. Baylor gave whoever they gave yesterday a hard time. They played somebody tough yesterday, a better team, a Power 5 team, I believe, a hard time. Uh, 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 San Antonio had over 40 passing attempts or about 40 passing attempts, or 38, I think. And then they ran the ball over 40 times. Interestingly, they only scored 20 points, and they won 13. So that's an interesting thing. So I don't think they had many turnovers either. So I don't know what was going on. I didn't see the game, but this is definitely a balanced team. They're a good team. What I'd like to see Army do is just go out there and play the game like you were playing against Delaware State. Go have some fun. You're going down there to 12-point dogs, according to Las Vegas. Go out there and have some fun. Try to do some things that you otherwise wouldn't have done. Things we did not try. Army did not try against Monroe, and let's see where it goes. This is a pretty good team and a balanced team, and we're going to find out how good our defense, the Army defense, truly is on Friday night, because they gotta be prepared for everything here.
What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, so I would say at this point my scouting report for Army is pretty much the same for the other two service academies as well, where we don't really know much after 2 weeks, just because of the opponents they played. To Air Force's credit, they've taken care of business, and they're 2-0 on the season, where Army and Navy are both 1-1. But this week is going to have the most meaningful data of the season, kind of for everybody, for UTSA as well, because they're a bit of a they're a little bit of an unknown quantity at this point, because you just don't know. We joke about Frank Harris, being there for 7 years or whatever, but not everybody around him has been there that long. So it's, obviously it's a plus having an experienced quarterback, but he may very well be breaking in effectively, kind of new offensive guys around him this year. I don't know. If once I don't know. I guess the biggest issue for me is, like, I don't want to get hung up too much on what happened 2 weeks ago, but the RB offense has yet to score against an FBS defense. So I think once they get a touchdown against UTSA, God willing, like as soon as possible, I think we'll all start to feel a lot better about this season and where it's headed and what they can do. They still have pretty much all their goals in front of them to this point. Syracuse might be really good based on their first 2 games, so that game may not be so winnable, but Boston College certainly looks beatable. And certainly the Service Academy games down the road are all going to be rock fights. So, I'm just looking forward to each unit having more and more success, and hopefully it results in a W this week. But either way, I'm trying not to panic too much.
Yeah, UTSA has given up 30 points in 2 games so far, so they're not scoring a lot, but their defense seems to be good. I don't think this is going to be a shootout game like it was at Mikey last year. I think Army's got a pretty experienced defense, right? They know a little bit about, like, they might not know specifically the new personnel that UTSA may have, but they know the schemes a little bit. They know the Frank Harris. I think this will be the 3rd time they played Frank Harris, so I mean they know him pretty well. Nate Woody, pretty solid on defensive coordinator play calling too. Can they get pressure on Harris if he throws the ball? Can they stop the run? Seth, you said they are running the ball pretty well, right?
Well, they had one guy, Barnes, around for 26 attempts, 103 yards. And his longest run was 23 yards. So that means he was blocking it out. And they had other guys running. One guy had 12 carries. One guy had 8 carries. They spread it around.
Yeah. Steve, we know that the keys to the defense, right, is stop the run and force third and longs, right, in pass plays where you could make a difference in the secondary and maybe cause a turnover or two on the pass rush, right? I mean, that's going to be the key for them in this game, I think.
Well, I was just trying to do that math in my head. So if he's got a long run, that was a quarter of his yard on one play. So probably getting 1-2 yards a pop. But the thing is, they're going to feed him. And our guys got to have the fits, 26, 40 times. They got to have those fits because as we saw at ULM, right? I mean, we had fits 98% of the time, and then 2 plays gashed us, and that ended up being the difference. And we just got to stay dialed in for 60 minutes, make sure our fits, trust our eyes, trust our feet. But yeah, we want to be able to pin our ears back and get after that quarterback on third and longs and hopefully make them, make the make the granddad make a throw somewhere where we can, pick it off or strip sack or something like that. So I think the biggest thing I'd like to see is everybody across the board come out with that confidence that we belong. And, guys are playing with swagger, guys are playing on the edge, and they're willing to make the pitch when maybe the pitch isn't, perfect or, Daly's throwing a ball it's in between the defense, but he's confident that he can make it in there and the guys are going to catch it. That's what I want to see because that's going to be where the game can be determined is who's willing to take the big risk for the big reward. It seems that way. We're going to both be running the ball. We'll both be stopping. So getting Isaiah involved, stretching the field with him, and then just defensively, those fits. Just need to make sure we have those fits for 60 minutes.
This is an interesting statistic here. Again, they had 2 touchdowns. They had 2 field goals. So they had 372 yards total and only 2 scores. That's an interesting stat. The other interesting stat is Texas State only had 31 yards rushing. And they've given up. Sorry, you said they only gave up 10 points in the first game. I think that was.
They lost 17-13 to Houston, so they gave up 17 points. Yeah.
So right. Okay, so I'm sorry. So 17 points. It sounds like they might have a really good defense against the rush here. 31 yards. Let me see how many attempts they had.
Yeah, please. If that's the case, Army needs to throw a little bit more. Not 20 times, but 15.
Texas State only ran about 22, 23 times. They threw mostly. Interesting statistics here for only 33 points in this game. That's kind of they must have been going back and a lot of punting, I would imagine, because I don't see turnovers either.
Yeah. Well, my one thing is you can look at the stats all you want, but it'll be like the matchups too. And I think that here, and that one more key before we get off is, ball security for Army. Jeff Monken talked about it, even though they only had 1 fumble against Delaware State, right? He's pulling guys. If they don't have 2 hands on the ball, he's pulling guys out of the game, Steve. If when they have the ball in their possession, they don't have 2 hands on the ball, they're coming on the bench and they're standing right beside them now. That's what it's gotten to with ball security. He was so frustrated in the first game about the balls being on the ground. And so now, I mean, you're going to see you might see some different guys get some chances there for Army. I like to see Miles Stewart maybe get the ball a little bit more Hayden Reed too. So we'll see what happens, but ball security is going to be big in there. They got to win the turnover battle. They can't give up they can't give up the points to the other team on turnovers. They just can't. They got to play a clean game there. I think they can win this game. I think that being a double digit underdog. I gotta admit, I didn't follow UTSA's first game. I just thought they would play somebody easy and they won it. I thought they were 2-0 coming into this game. They're 1-1. They lost to Houston. They're good, but are they this world beating team that Army can't go into UTSA beat? I think, Brendan, the last time Army beat them at UTSA, right? When they played last time?
Yeah. So it's the 4th time they're playing them since 2019. which hopefully means a lot of film on Frank Harris. But yeah, the last time Army won in the series was at the Alamo Dome.
I thought that was the game where Cade Ballard and Tyler
Yes,
played.
it was. It was.
Yeah, the first time they played that quarterback, both of them starting got action.
Yeah.
And Army won that game. So it's not like this is an unwinnable game for the Black Knights. I think they have every right to win this game, and it'll be a huge win for them if they can get it, because no matter what, if they can get this win, they go to Syracuse. If you can go 2-2, you'd like probably to be 3-1 after your first 4. But if you can at least get 2 wins out of your first 4 games, that second, the next 4 games are really tough. They're really, really tough games. But I mean, this is a huge one for them. So I think they're going to do fine. I'm actually might predict them to win outright. I think. Sunday night, I'm predicting them to win.
Right about the turnovers. Whoever wins the turnover battle wins a game. If I think that if Army can limit their turnovers, can win the turnover battle. Monken talks about it every week. Every time we talk to him, he brings it up, and he's right.
Yeah,
you have fewer turnovers than the other team, you have a much better chance of winning the game, much better. And
there's so much that goes. It's not just a turnover. It's the momentum. There's so much that goes in that changes the game, especially where it happens or when it happens. Especially when it kills a drive. Really can just feel like someone just punched you in your gut and knocked the wind out of you. And then you got to get your breath back, get the momentum going. You got to rely on the defense or special teams to get it back for you, because, this offense isn't exactly like, hitting streaks for 20 plus where you can get some of that momentum going. So, I really do believe that I think the key will be involving Isaiah Alston early to where we can stretch the defense. I think that's going to be crucial to getting them to relax off our run. They're going to be putting guys in the box. We've got him out there. I hope that he gets involved early, starts making some seams, and then defensively, we got to give our offense more opportunities. So get a couple turnovers, get the momentum, good field position, and I think we'll be in good shape, come Friday night.
One quick one, Steve, I want to ask you this real quick. The short week, right? You're going to play on a Friday night. I don't know. Did you do that when you were a player? Did you play games before Saturday? And what's the preparation like? Is it just I know they usually do a lot of workouts on Sunday. They usually have Monday off in a normal week, but they're practicing tomorrow, I believe. So anything changed during a short week like that, or?
I think the biggest thing is it's probably a little more for me, a little more mental reps. I try not to change too much, right? We're going to leave Thursday at the same time, basically where once you get on the bus, the routine stays the same, where it's the same amount of time from off the bus to game time. I know it's a Friday night, so that kind of changes things a little bit, but get the mental reps in, understand the percentages, understand, what they like to do in certain sets, make sure you understand that so you have an edge in the game within the game. And then, just get yourself healthy quick. Cold baths, more cold baths, make sure you're eating right, stuff like that, but, we're talking what, 16 hours than what we're usually playing at. So
it's true.
It's not crazy difference, but it's going to be at nighttime, and that's the difference because we don't usually practice at night and we don't play at night. So just like anytime you do a physical event that you're training for, you have to start training at that time. So maybe some later practices this week or something. I don't know. I wouldn't change too much for a week. I think the guys are going to be dialed in. They now know and feel what this season can be if they all get on the same page. So just got to stay after it, man. Just believe. Just got to believe that, Friday night's ours. We've played these guys quite a bit. We know how they are. We know their coaching styles. We know this quarterback. Just go out there and do it. Just be about it.
ESPN game, I believe. It's a Friday night ESPN game.
It is.
So, yeah. So that'll be fun seeing Army on Friday night on ESPN. Real quick before we get off, I posted this on my Twitter today, and it was over a friend's house. I have a YouTube channel called Pack Patrol where me and my daughter open up sports cards, football cards, and baseball cards. And look what we got today. We got a Andre Carter rookie card.
No,
Andre Carter rookie card. I opened it up. We get all these different cards: Joe Montana's, current stars, Anthony Richardson's, all that kind of stuff. My favorite card of the day was pulling an Andre Carter. I don't know if I've ever pulled a former Army player football card before. So I believe that's my first one. It was pretty cool. He may have been inactive today, but I think it was great. It was an awesome feeling to get an Andre Carter rookie card. Hopefully I can get some Radigans and some Elijah Rileys down the road and some Cole Christensens and stuff like that. So pretty cool, Steve.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Guys, thanks so much. Check out Black Knight Nation. Seth's game stories on there. I wrote a story on Bryson Daly. We have this podcast will be on there. We have a photo album. We have the press conference videos up too. Check out our mailing list. We're doing that a little bit more now where you're getting everything we're doing. I'm going to have a good story on, hopefully tomorrow I'm interviewing him, Cody Weineker. He's the guy, the defensive lineman who ran out with the black flag for the home opener against Delaware State. He recovered a fumble for Army during the game yesterday. He was on the team for 2 years. Then he went to serve in the Army for 2 years. He was at Fort Drum. He went to serve in the Army. Now he's back on the team. And Coach Munkin, he just got cleared by the NCAA on Friday to play on Saturday. He was playing scout team all week last week. He's playing scout team all week because he didn't know if he could play on Saturday. He gets the clearance on Friday, gets into the game on Saturday as a reserve, but still gets some playing time and jumps on a fumble and recovers a fumble. Pretty cool story. Hope to talk to him tomorrow, do a one-on-one with him. Look for that story, guys, later in the week before the UTSA game. Thanks a lot, guys. Steve, Brendan, and Seth, appreciate your time tonight, and we'll be back. I don't think we'll do a Friday night recap on Friday night at the UTSA game. We'll see, but we'll probably be back on Saturday with the recap of hopefully an Army win. Everybody, thanks, and have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Beat 'em.